Welcome to Journey Through the Gospels. Here we explore the stories of the gospel through history, faith, and cinematic storytelling. The story of the Bible does not begin in a city, a kingdom, or a temple. It begins with creation itself. The Old Testament opens with a world that is ordered, purposeful, and good. Light breaks into darkness, land and sea are formed, life fills the earth. Humanity is placed within this creation with dignity and responsibility, called to live in fellowship with God. But that harmony does not last. Humanity turns away from God and sin enters the world. What was whole begins to fracture. Trust becomes fear, peace becomes struggle, and the rest of the Old Testament unfolds inside that brokenness. Instead of abandoning humanity, God begins to act through promise. The story narrows to Abraham. He is called out from among the nations, and through him, God begins to form a covenant people. The promise is great. Through this family, blessings will one day reach the world. That family grows, but not in ease. Abraham's descendants eventually find themselves in Egypt. What begins as refuge becomes bondage over generations. Israel becomes a people under oppression, and the promise seems far away. Then comes one of the great turning points in the Old Testament. Through Moses, God delivers his people out of slavery. He brings them through the sea, leads them into the wilderness, and forms them as a covenant nation. This is not only a rescue, it is the beginning of identity. At Sinai, the law is given. These commandments shape Israel's worship, justice, and daily life. The covenant teaches them who they are meant to be. But even with clear guidance, the people struggle to trust and obey. The wilderness years reveal how difficult faithfulness can be. Again and again, the people complain, fear, and forget. Yet God remains patient. He feeds them, corrects them, and continues the story despite their weakness. Eventually, Israel enters the land that was promised to them. But entering the land does not mean the struggle is over. The Judges period shows repeated cycles of disobedience, oppression, repentance, and rescue. It becomes clear that the deepest problem is not only outside the people, but also within them. Then the story shifts toward kingship. Saul becomes the first king, but his rule does not endure in faithfulness. David follows, and his place in the story becomes central. Jerusalem rises in importance, and a promise is attached to David's line. Hope for the future begins to gather around his house. Under Solomon, the temple was built. Worship gains a visible center in Jerusalem. The kingdom appears strong and established. But the high point does not last. The kingdom divides, and both north and south drift into idolatry, injustice, and false worship. This is where the prophets speak with urgency. They do not only point to the future, they confront the present. They speak against oppression, empty religion, violence, and unfaithfulness. They call the people back to covenant life. But the prophets do more than warn. They also keep hope alive. They speak of restoration, cleansing, justice, peace, and a future that God himself will bring. Even in dark times, their words refuse to let hope die. Still, judgment comes. The northern kingdom falls to Assyria. Later, Judah falls to Babylon. Jerusalem is taken, the temple is destroyed. Many of the people are carried into exile. This is one of the darkest moments in the Old Testament story, and yet exile is not the end. Even there, God is not absent. The prophets continue to speak. The promise is not extinguished. In time, some of the people return. The temple is rebuilt. Worship begins again. But the ending still feels unfinished. The return is real, but not complete. The promises remain, but the world is still marked by weakness, waiting, and longing. The Old Testament closes with hope and expectation. That unfinished ending matters. It shows that the Old Testament is not only a record of ancient events, it is the foundation of the Bible's larger story. It begins with creation, moves through covenant and kingdom, descends into failure and exile, and still holds on to hope. So when we ask what the Old Testament is, the answer is bigger than a collection of old books. It is the beginning of the biblical story. It is where the promises are spoken, where the need is revealed, and where the hope for fulfillment is kept alive. In the next part of the series, we move deeper into the wisdom books and the prophets. There, we will hear the prayers, questions, warnings, and hopes that rise from people living inside this long story. For now, the Old Testament stands as the foundation, a story of creation, covenant, failure, judgment, mercy, and hope, reaching forward toward what is still to come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more gospel stories.